Hello world, Wendy from Cali here, and Happy New Year, January 1st, 2023. Who would have thought we'd get here, huh? Well, today's Manny is going to be Set the Mood for the Year. Tara Stoddard, someone that I follow on YouTube and on Facebook, has her monthly themes up for her Facebook group, and this week's theme is Set the Mood. And so you'll see that I have two sets here from Color Street. I have Espresso Yourself, so I want to be able to fully express myself in the upcoming year and have lots of coffee while doing it. So Espresso Yourself was totally calling to me. And Less Bitter, More Glitter is the other set. And I definitely want to have a more positive attitude and let go of some of the things that I've been holding on to and resenting, or just being bitter about. So that's why I chose these two to set the mood for the upcoming year. So come along with me and let's see how these two will look together. But first, I'm not a Color Street stylist. However, my sister-in-law, Carla, is a Color Street stylist. So if you don't know what Color Street is, it's 100% real nail polish. It's about 95% dry, and you basically just peel and stick, and you're pretty much good to go. I'd highly recommend doing your mani probably when you know you're not going to be washing your hands or using hand lotions or anything like that for at least half an hour or so, because you want to make sure to allow time for the nails to actually like stick to your fingers. And they come with a nail prep pad, which is just an alcohol wipe, and that's to help get rid of any excess dirt or oils and stuff like that on your nails prior to you applying the strips. I've already prepped my nails, so I'm not going to be using this, but each set does come with a file as well as a prep pad. And then each strip itself comes with 16. So you see there's 8, but there's 16 in total because it's doubled. And for most of us who have shorter nails, we can get by with like maybe half the set and heat seal it or throw it in our freezer and keep it for use at a later date. Now, Color Street does say it's a one-time use application, and they don't guarantee it to work after you open it and reseal it or whatever. But in experience, it's worked most of the time for me. So just putting that out there for you guys. But if you're new to this channel, welcome and thank you for joining us. And if you like what you see, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you want to shop Color Street and you don't have a Color Street stylist, the link below to my sister's Color Street website is there for you if you'd like to make a purchase and support her small business. All right. So let's get started. What I typically do here is I just kind of talk about life and I do my nails with you guys. So today, like I said, this is Set the Mood, and I really do want to have a positive outlook for 2023. So that is why I chose these sets. And starting with last night. So last night we had our New Year's Eve celebration. So Panda Bear, my significant other, and I were over at Carla's to celebrate New Year's Eve with her and her kiddos. And one thing that I've been doing since the end of 2020 was cooking a prime rib for my family each New Year's Eve. And the reason I do that is in honor and in memory of my Uncle Harry, who passed away due to COVID. And so he used to cook prime rib every New Year's Eve for his family, and I every now and then was able to partake in the celebrations and eating his delicious prime rib. He used to work for a restaurant way back in the days, and so he was an awesome cook, awesome chef, and so definitely miss his humor as well as his cooking. So I cook a prime rib every holiday right before the new year, just in his honor and in his memory. So last year, for those of you guys that know, so last year Panda Bear bought a prime rib for me to cook, but he bought it early and he thought, oh, bright idea, I'm gonna stick it in the freezer. Needless to say, my heart dropped when he did that, and it didn't quite come out the way I had liked it, and so Carla actually didn't get to try the prime rib last year, which I felt really bad about. So this year we made sure, one, Panda Bear did not stick prime rib in the freezer. In fact, he waited till almost last minute to purchase the prime rib, which we got lucky and was able to find a big enough size that we needed for New Year's Eve. But two, we made sure to cook it over at Carla's so that she could definitely be able to have a piece of the prime rib and share in enjoying that. And to my surprise, so yesterday here in Cali, it was raining, and I actually love the rain, so not a problem for me, but that's besides the point. Anyways, we showed up at Carla's. I had a scare because I had packed everything like ahead of time so that I could make sure I didn't forget anything. But as we were looking for everything that we brought over to Carla's, for some reason, I couldn't find the prime rib. I couldn't find the meat. And I was like, oh my God, right now, did I leave the bag at home? Could that even be possible? Like, I don't remember doing that. So I was panicking, of course, and called my mom and was like, hey, did we leave a bag over at the house? And she's like, no. And I was like, okay, thanks, and hung up. Well, anyways, long story short, it was in one of the bags that we had brought over to Carla's, but like, I didn't remember putting it in that bag. I had thought it was in a plastic bag, so I was like searching high and low for that plastic bag that the rib roast was in, and come to find out it was in this little cooler bag that I had placed a whole bunch of other things in. So of course, you know, crisis diverted, but yeah, it was just a weird mood, I guess we were all in. But we show up to Carla's, and to my surprise, Carla had spent 2 days preparing sweet tamales. So, I've been craving sweet tamales since my friend Diane had purchased sweet tamales from Vallarta, for one of my birthday celebrations. And, like, I don't know, I fell in love with the sweet tamales because, one, I've never had sweet tamales before, so I didn't even know they existed. And two, they tasted so good that I was like chasing that flavor. And couldn't find them at Vallarta, couldn't find them at El Super, couldn't find them. We did find the piña, the pineapple tamales at a local bakery here. And I'm part of a Facebook group that is, for my hometown. And someone had suggested this bakery. And so Panda Bear went and found these pineapple sweet tamales, and they were delicious. So awesome. Well, Carla made both pina ones, which had also an apricot preserve or jam in them, which was very delicious. And then she also made a strawberry one. So for the life of us, we have not been able to find fresa strawberry tamales anywhere. I guess they're not that popular, but I've been chasing that taste. And so Carla made those specially for me, and thank you, Carla, for doing that. We've got lots more tamales to eat today, which I'm very excited about. But for those who have made tamales before, you know how labor intensive that is. And so I just feel extra special that Carla had done that for me. And so, yeah, even just thinking about it now, like I was already tearful yesterday, but I'm thinking about it now and I'm tearful again today. So yeah, not gonna cry though, not gonna cry, although I just feel very blessed and emotional. But look at that color, huh? Espresso Yourself, really awesome. It definitely reminds me of coffee, so I'm very excited about that. Okay, so you'll see that I placed aside some of my strips off to the side because I know that I'm likely not going to use those. My pinkies, for some reason, like, even though I try to get my nails to be of similar length, they typically can use just the one strip for both nails. And so I'm able to save the other matching strip for another time. And I just realized I can't count. I'm missing a finger. So let's make sure to grab. There we go. So, all right. So, yesterday ate a ton of food. So now that it is 2023, can't promise that I won't continue to eat a ton of food, but I will be more mindful about it. I'm going to start doing the best I can as far as tracking what I eat on MyFitnessPal. I've been doing that off and on for a bit. Sometimes it's hard, especially when you're having those days where you're just like eating everything and anything that's being placed in front of you. It makes it very hard to like track what you're eating. So I'm going to be more mindful about that and not eat mindlessly. So that is one of my big goals, I guess New Year's resolution, if you will, for 2023. Because during the pandemic, I had actually lost like 60 pounds. So I went, my highest weight ever was, I think it was 297.5 pounds. So very close to 300 pounds. And I'm 5'7", so I'm fairly tall for my ethnicity. But almost 300 pounds, like, how the heck did I get there? I remember in high school, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be one of those girls that lies on my driver's license. I'm putting my real weight. So my driver's license says 195, because that's what I weighed back in the day. And I was like, proud of myself for not lying about my weight. And needless to say, now that I've gotten really heavy, I'm not digging that I'm not truthful on my driver's license. And so I've tried fixing it on my driver's license the one time when I went to go get my real ID. But for some reason they did not update it, even though I updated it in the system when I went to go get my real ID. So that's not my fault. That's the DMV's fault. So I can't really do anything about that, except for perhaps trying to get my weight back down to what it says on my driver's license. But that's going to take a little bit of work because, okay, so pre-pandemic, before we started our health journey, when my dad had his heart attack in 2019, I got as high up as 297.5 pounds. So quite a lot, right? Not cool. So during the pandemic, luckily, who I work for, was able to set us up to work remotely from home. And so I did not have to, be on furlough or look for another job or anything like that. We continued working. We worked remotely. And during that time, because I didn't have the 1 hour plus commute both ways to work, I only live like 19 miles from work, but the commute here in the Los Angeles area in Southern California is unpredictable and horrendous. And when everything's in full force, like school's in session, all businesses are open for business and all of that, pre-pandemic, depending on when you left the house, traffic could be anywhere from, if you're lucky, there's no traffic at all, it would be like 22 minutes. But on average, it was about 45 to 50 minutes. But there could be days where it's like over an hour long. I think the worst of it was maybe like roughly almost 2 hours long to get to work. So that's a lot of time that is lost when you're commuting, right? And so when you're commuting, there's a lot that you miss out on, and you're sitting in the car and it ends up eating up your day. So when we were able to work remotely, that's like about 2 hours that I got back from my day. And so Panda Bear, my dad, and I would make good use of that extra time that we had for each day. And we would go on long walks in the neighborhood and lift weights. We would do a lot of different things. And we also watched what we ate. So I am blessed and cursed with an office that keeps us well stocked with snacks. Blessed in the fact that we're provided for. Cursed in the fact that if you have no willpower, you could easily gain 15 to 20 pounds working in that office with all the snacks that's available. So when we were working remotely, I didn't have to think about what to eat. I just literally clocked in for work, and Panda Bear will just call me to like take my breaks and to take my lunch break and all of that. And then I would be handed food, drink, whatever. And during that time too, we experimented a lot with different diets and different methods of weight loss. And so how do I put this? I had a psychiatrist that I basically, before the pandemic, I had an episode. I'll call it a panic attack. It was kind of almost worse than a panic attack, to the point where I just didn't want to be here anymore. And so that happened at work one day, and Panda Bear had to pick me up from work and took me to the hospital, and they held me for a few hours until I kind of calmed down, and they were able to confirm I wasn't going to be a harm to myself or others. And then they had released me with the caveat that I needed to find help for my mental state. And so I had found a psychiatrist, and this psychiatrist, she actually led us down a path that pretty much saved my life. So she didn't only prescribe me meds, but she also mentioned a book that I ought to read. And so, you know, I purchased that book and I read it, and Pan Bear also read it. And during that time, he was listening to a podcast, and some of the things in the book that they were talking about kind of sounded like the keto way of eating. And so it was kind of like, okay, maybe this is what we need to do. We need to jump on the keto bandwagon. And this is before keto was like super, super popular. Because now you'll see in stores like foods that are keto friendly and all of that. You didn't see that when we were starting. So it was an interesting journey, to say the least, when we had started our keto journey. So keto, while eating keto and doing intermittent fasting, I was able to drop about 30 pounds. And that was awesome. And then we had gotten even more extreme as far as what we were trying to do to shed some of the weight. And we ended up going carnivore. And the thing about keto and carnivore, let me disclaimer, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm just a person that has gone on her own health journey to try to find out what works best for my body, okay? So I'm not advocating for folks to do keto or to not do keto or to do carnivore or intermittent fasting. I'm not saying that that's the way to go. However, I will say that in eliminating a lot of things during that time, it did help shed a lot of excess weight. So when we did intermittent fasting, we also ended up doing carnivore, and then we also ended up doing OMAD, 1 meal a day. And then there were times where we were also doing extreme fasting, where the longest I had ever fasted while we were doing that was like 72 hours of no food at all, just water. And yeah, I don't recommend people do that, but I was able to do it. And that was while working. And this was at a time where I was still working in the office too. So yeah, it can be done, but not very fun and not recommended for the majority of the people. But as I mentioned, I had a lot of weight to lose. So it was pretty easy when you set it up right to do that fasting and to eat carnivore and to eat OMAD, and all of that. So, at the end of the day, before returning full-time back to the office, I had dropped 62 pounds. So, I think the lowest weight actually that I got down to was 229 pounds, before we started jumping back up in weight. And the reason why the weight started going back up, one, we weren't restricting ourselves like we were with the keto and carnivore, but also we were trying to fix my metabolism so that I'm not doing these fad diets and I'm able to eat as normal as I could, and still not gain weight. So that is where we're at right now, and we're still working on that. And what I need to do is avoid eating some of those foods that are just, you know, empty calorie foods. They're not any nutrition or anything like that. So 2023 is going to be a year of trying to figure out how to best find that balance and to get some of that weight back down. So yeah, that is one of the big goals for the year. But so you'll see, I'm trying to save some of the strips. So I used like these 2 fingers, the leftovers from one of the strips on it, but you're gonna see that, you know, it wasn't quite the right size. So I am probably going to double up on the strip for these 2 fingers, just so I'm covering up that exposure there, because I'm not digging that exposure. And so I don't know why I do this, because I have so many Color Street strips. So it's like, why do I bother like trying to save them? But I'm frugal. So it's one of those where it's like, yes, I could totally just use 1 strip for 1 finger and move on. But I've been taught not to waste. And so I try to use up as much as I can without wasting any of it. But my nails have grown long enough where I pretty much can't do what I was trying to do, which was use 1 strip for the both fingers. So I need to just kind of let it go. Let it go! Alright, so some of my fingers probably aren't going to match in the color, because the color is going to be a little darker on those that I'm doubling up on, but that's okay, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's just nails. So no one's going to really notice it. Only I would notice it, because I'm the one who's staring at my nails the most. Nobody comes close enough to really like examine your nails and go, hey, why is that a different color? So yeah, just letting you know that. And I apologize for the background noise. I am filming at home, so I'm not the only one here. And we are currently making some coffee. You know, oh, I totally hit the stand. I apologize for the shakiness. But, you know, as I mentioned, Espresso Yourself coffee, definitely on the menu for us, right? So you're going to hear coffee brewing in the background, maybe. I don't know if the mic is going to pick up that sound or not, but I could totally hear it. It's a really loud coffee machine. So, but yeah. So 2023. Do you guys do New Year's resolutions and all that for the year? I personally don't. However, the beginning of the year is always a good time to kind of reevaluate some of your existing goals or some of the goals that you've abandoned. And so, as I mentioned, I will be focusing on tracking what I eat and drink and all of that, being more mindful about what I put in my body, and having a more regular schedule as far as working out, because now that I'm mostly back in the office full time and not working remotely that much, I do need to keep in mind that I don't have as much time in the day to work out. So I have to kind of find little pockets of time to get my movement in, my walking in, and get my weights in, and all of that. So that is the intent for 2023. And I'll tell you this much, my starting weight today is 261. So keeping it honest, I'm going to throw it out there, throw my weight out there, and I'll kind of, when I do my nails, I'll probably give you guys a recap on where I'm at as far as my weight goes, just to have you guys stay along with the journey that I'm going through. If you guys were part of this channel, if you guys had subscribed to this channel before I started doing nail videos, you'll know that I used to do Journey to Health vlogs where I talked about my week-to-week progress on weight loss and all that. But I did find that I didn't feel as comfortable talking about it, especially when I had strayed from my weight loss journey. When we started doing the other things to kind of fix my metabolism and the weight started going upwards rather than downwards, I'll tell you this much, I was a little bit ashamed. And so I didn't want to talk about it. I know a lot of YouTube channels here, if you're looking for weight loss and stuff like that, a lot of the folks, they started their channel after they had reached their original goal and all of that. And originally when I had started doing those Journey to Health vlogs, I wanted to be different. I was like, hey, why don't we start it right from when we're having the health journey and go through it. But I'll tell you this much, it is a struggle every day. Every single day, you have to be committed. And you can't beat yourself up when you have a bad day. I think oftentimes when I was dieting and I saw some progress, I would self-sabotage by rewarding myself with food, and it was an unhealthy habit. I'll tell you, I am a food addict. There are times where when I'm craving something, it's relentless. Like I'll try to eat other things in place of it and just be like, hey, like, I don't need to eat that. I don't need to eat that nothing bundt cake, or I don't need to eat that macaron, or whatever it is. But when I'm like replacing it with other things and all of that, I just end up eating more because I end up having to have that food item before that craving goes away. And then by the time I get to that point, it's like, okay, I've already ingested like way too many things that I shouldn't have. And those unhealthy cravings sometimes is your body telling you you need something, but it's not really exactly that specific item that you need. And so paying attention to your body and listening to your body and understanding what it's telling you is really important, and it takes time. And not all of us has that kind of time. And so a lot of us, including myself, have been going through life kind of mindlessly eating, not mindful of what we're putting in our bodies, and it has a long-term effect. So 2023, getting back to more mindful eating, less mindless eating, and figuring out the right formula to make sure that I'm not sabotaging my weight loss journey. And so it's not all about weight loss either. I don't want to be a skinny mini. Never have been, never will be. It's more about making sure that I feel healthy and strong. And so even though I am going to report to you guys on my weight, that's not the only thing I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on making sure I have the right nutrients each day, focusing on making sure I have some form of movement in my day-to-day so that I can keep building a strong body. And it's also making sure that I still have fun, my 3 F's, family, food, and fun, that I still honor that, because that's life. Like, they have that saying, you eat to live, for those folks that just, eat foods that are good for their health, and then that's it. But for me, I live to eat. So, I mean, every time we go on vacation, we plan a vacation, the first thing I do is I go through Yelp and I do research as to where's the best places to eat out in that area that we're headed to. So I'm not going to stop doing that. But what I am going to do is be more mindful about the places I choose to eat, so that I'm putting the right nutrients into my body and I'm not eating junk. I'm not putting junk in my body. So we only have one body. We only have one life. We gotta choose how we intentionally want to live it. I'm not gonna sleepwalk through life anymore. I'm going to be much more present to living in the day-to-day, but also planning for and setting up for the future. So that's what's going on for 2023. So for those of you guys that are watching and are going to follow along, thank you for joining me on this journey. And any support would be lovely. And if you're going through something similar, or whatever it is that you're planning to do, feel free to share and let's support each other. Let's be that light that we all need in this crazy world of ours. Right? So yeah, that is what's going on in my mind right now. But first, tamales. So we've got plenty of sweet tamales to eat today, and we're also going to be celebrating with the Rents, my parents, and we're going to go try this new hot pot place today to celebrate New Year's. So I'm very excited about that. And then yesterday was just really nice because of the rain. So for Christmas, if you guys are from Cali or are aware, Christmas didn't feel like Christmas because the weather here in California, at least Southern California, was like in the 80s. So it was like not quite what I had expected for Christmas. I had really wanted to have a fire going.